Former Prime Minister of Australia, Julia Gillard, struggled to define what a woman is over the weekend, despite being one herself. Here's what she had to say. Have a look.
We as a community are full of people with diverse stories and diverse life experiences. Amongst that rich diversity, which, as Frances says, is powerful, there are a number of people who genuinely believe that they are trapped in the wrong body and they want to be recognised as the gender that their mind and soul have for always told them that they are.
All right, let's bring in my panel tonight, who I'm fairly sure are two men. I don't want to make any assumptions. Daily Telegraph columnist Jo Hildebrand, great to see you. And also Director of Headline Advisory and Scott Morrison's former Press Secretary, Andrew Carswell. Great to see you, Andrew. Andrew, so what do you think about this? This has now kind of become a trick question, a difficult question. What is a woman? And Julia Gillard took her time getting to an answer there.
Oh, Shari, I love this answer, and I must admit I watched it a few times, and it's actually best put to music as well, which Ben Fordham from 2GB did very well. It is a piece of art, it really is. And look, how good is the squirm? I mean, it is gold medal winning squirm. And look, let's face it, it is a pretty simple answer, right? Even Anthony Albanese himself got it right in 2 words when he said adult female. You've seen others struggle with the answer, including the former Chief Medical Officer in Senate estimates. What I think Julia did wrong here was she made a choice to, well, maybe she did make a choice, but it ended up this way, that she offended the vast majority of the Australian population because she didn't want to offend the a couple of dozen women's rights activists in the room. Which I think is nonsensical. But speaking of women's rights, I mean, I'm not sure anything that was implied in her answer helps women's rights at all. In fact, if you think trans athletes competing on the same playing field as female athletes is fair, progresses women's rights in any way, then you're seriously misguided.
Jo, I mean, I take Andrew Carswell's point that even Anthony Albanese said adult female, but in saying adult female, you're still not answering the question of what you think a female or a woman is.
Well, technically it's adult female human, because an adult female of any other species is not a woman. Look, you could argue that, but again, I think it's one of those things where you can just get bogged down in semantics. I know what a woman is. It's someone who tells me what to do. And I think for the most part, you would just say it's an adult female human, and that's that. But it is also obvious that there are people who do feel like they were born into the wrong body. One of them used to have a show here on Sky News, my dear friend Kate McGregor, and she very much sees herself as a woman. I think where it really gets into, I suppose, murky territory is when the rights of women and trans women clash. And so Andrew raised women's sport. That's an obvious example. And whether there's some way you can sort of measure testosterone or estrogen levels, I'm not a scientist or a biologist, obviously, but in order to make that something of a level playing field. And also, of course, this slightly, I think, and I know a lot of trans women, Carlotta would be the first to say, just make up your bloody mind, doll. On, off, just make up your bloody mind. This idea that I feel like a woman today, therefore I'm a woman today, and I'll go and use the female change rooms. There'd be a lot of
updating of the email signatures, wouldn't it? You'd be constantly having to change them.
Yeah, that's right. So I think if someone genuinely does have that sort of gender dysphoria and, and feels like they're in the wrong body, fine, no problem. Go and do it, get it done, and I'm happy to call you a woman or whatever you want to be called.